Alright, Amazon Claus has arrived. Time to finish up the job on this truck with replacing all the bushings on the knuckle carriers and kind of revamping things a bit. So the setup I have the hot racing axle housings, and it's normally where the knuckles ride in these steel collars right inside the aluminum here. And what happens is over time these holes elongate a bit and get some slop, and it ultimately ends up giving the truck a little bit of a camber, like half a degree or something like that, but just for the slop. So what I did is I had opened these holes up a little bit more and put in steel bushings. Initially I was going to use these bushings. They're brass, but they're sintered, and I just don't trust anything sintered for the amount of bashing this truck takes. The bushing's ability to hold oil and be self-lubricating is less important to me than the bushing's ability to be tough and strong. So I ended up going with the steel. Definitely more confident in that. I drilled these holes out to 7.9 millimeters, and the bushings are 8 millimeter outer diameter. So I had the bushings in the freezer, and I heated the holes up with the heat gun, and then jammed them in there. I would like to say pressed, but I really use the vice grip to squeeze them in with green thread lock to make sure they hold into place well. The thing is, although I trust these very much for horizontal movement and that type of load, I don't trust them necessarily for the vertical load. So I'm going with a slightly different setup where I'm going to mount them. I'm trying to do this with one hand, which is very awkward. Give me 1 second. All right, back again. So the way they mount normally would be for the collar with the flanged end to go on the inside like this, which then puts all the vertical strain literally right on the bushing, which I wanted to avoid. And there's not enough room to put a larger washer here. So what I'm doing is I am actually putting it on where the flange goes on the top and the bottom on the outside of the carrier, with a washer on it that has a 6 millimeter inner diameter and a 12 millimeter outer diameter. And then on the top over here will be another washer with a 4 millimeter inner diameter and 12 millimeter outer diameter. That way the bushings are only responsible for handling the horizontal load, but vertical load gets spread out through that wider area through the washers. So I'm going to throw them in and assemble it, and once it's assembled, I will also replace all the steering links, my fuses that have been bending and breaking a little bit too easily, with these titanium ones. As I mentioned in a previous video, I'd love to do M4, but I don't have much meat here, so plan A is to see if the titanium works. That should be about 40% stronger, which should hack it. If that does not work, plan B is to weld a little bit more meat onto these knuckles. They're steel. And then once I add the meat, then drill and tap to M4. And then plan C, if that's not enough, is to do M4 titanium. So we'll see how that works. I'm going to start throwing this together. Oh yeah, there's another little trick I do. These dog bones, the half shafts that go from the pumpkins to the axles, they twist over time. They're easy to twist back. Just throw them on a vise and put like adjustable pliers on one end and twist it back. And the way I do that is I'll heat it up so it's soft, turn it back, then dunk it in cold oil so that way it's hardened again. But once they twist 90 degrees out, it's really hard to tell which way you need to twist them back, so you're not just twisting them around and around and around. So what I do is I put a white line on it. So for example, this one I could see it's twisted, and I need to rotate this end counterclockwise roughly 90 degrees to get it back in phase. Well, ran into my first little snag. Washers, like anything else molded, they have slight imperfections. So they're 1.5 millimeters thick, but some were a little oversized, some were a little undersized. So I ended up sanding the ones I'm using down to get them all a touch under 1.5 millimeters. So that way things are nice and snug, but don't bind. Bright side, I sanded off my fingertips. So if I ever need to start robbing banks to support this hobby, I got a good head start there. Back to work. Knuckle install complete with the new setup. Everything went pretty much exactly to plan. So now as I said, the steel bushings, they take all the horizontal force and torquing force. But no longer that pressure is being pushed on the pressed in steel bushings because it's got this washer stack with these 12 millimeter outer diameter washers. The one side being 6 millimeter inner diameter to go around that sleeve, that collared sleeve, and the other one being 4 millimeter inner diameter to fit snug around the bolt. So now all vertical force, directly vertical, up or down, is going on those washers, and yeah, all the horizontal force is going on those bushings. So there's no slop, and should be a lot stronger, and everything moves nice and free with no binding. Everything went to plan. The only thing is it took a little bit more sanding and filing because these washers were 1.5 millimeters thick, and I need them to be 1 millimeter thick. Bonus though, I lost all my fingerprints, so if I ever am in a pinch trying to support this hobby, I do have that taken care of already, so that's a plus. So now I got these titanium bolts. They're pretty. They're too fancy for this truck. This truck's all dirty and rough. It's like Larry the Cable Guy, and then these bolts are all like, ooh, look at me, I'm shiny. Yeah, compressor's broken, so I haven't been able to clean it. Gonna do that next and put her shoes back on, and then she'll be ready for a rip and back to tuning that 1-speed transmission setup. Oh, my bougie titanium fuses are installed. I'm still a little skeptical that they're the silver bullet I'm looking for to make this stronger and not break as easily, but still function as a fuse. If it was like proper titanium that like the folks at Skunk Works would get for an aircraft or something, maybe. But this is Amazon titanium, so it's probably more about the bling factor. So we'll see. Needless to say, I got longer ones, so that way if they do break, I could grab onto it pretty easily with the pliers and pull it out and get back out there pretty quickly. All back together and ready to cause some trouble. Oh, not entirely. I noticed while doing this, one of my bump stops got destroyed again. See, there's nothing in there. Now I can see that a little bit better. Yeah, I normally use... That one's about to go too. I normally use automotive vacuum hose, but it hasn't been strong enough. So I think I'm gonna do automotive fuel injected fuel line because it's woven with that fabric nylon-y stuff meant for high pressure. So should be a little bit stronger, but still have enough give to function as a bump stop. So got to do that, but other than that, the project is done. It's just kind of the inevitable side quest. There's always a side quest.